Hey everyone, welcome back to Stoic Saga, where we dive deep into timeless wisdom and practical strategies to help you lead a more purposeful and resilient life. Today, we're exploring the power of genius habits and how they can unlock your potential in ways you never thought possible. What if I told you that the key to greatness lies not in monumental actions, but in small, consistent habits practiced daily? Whether it's personal development, professional success, or building stronger relationships, genius habits have the power to transform every area of your life. In this episode, we'll cover 9 powerful lessons on how to build, sustain, and apply these life-changing habits. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools you need to stay consistent, overcome challenges, and unleash your full potential. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who could benefit from these insights. Your support helps us grow and continue spreading the wisdom of Stoicism and personal growth. Let's get started with the first lesson: understanding genius habits. 1. Understanding genius habits. What separates extraordinary individuals from the rest of us? Is it innate talent, superior intellect, or a stroke of luck? According to the Stoics and many great thinkers throughout history, it's none of these. Instead, the key to unlocking one's full potential lies in the cultivation of what we can call genius habits, the consistent routines and practices that shape extraordinary lives. Genius habits are not merely about being highly skilled in one area or having a particular talent. They're about developing a mindset and lifestyle that allow for continuous growth, improvement, and excellence. These habits are about who you become over time, not just what you do on a single occasion. This idea is perfectly echoed in the words of Aristotle. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This famous quote underscores the importance of repetition, consistency, and long-term commitment in cultivating genius. The foundation of genius habits lies in their consistency. Greatness is not achieved overnight. It's built brick by brick through small, seemingly insignificant daily actions that compound over time. This is a principle that the Stoics emphasized repeatedly. Marcus Aurelius, for instance, often reflected in his meditations on the importance of daily discipline and how small actions build character. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. This highlights that genius habits are born from not just actions, but from a cultivated mindset. What then are these genius habits? They can be as simple as dedicating time each day to learning, practicing a skill, or focusing on your health. But what truly defines them is their purpose. They are habits that are aligned with your long-term goals and personal growth. These habits stretch beyond the mundane and focus on improvement. Whether it's reading for 30 minutes every day, meditating to maintain mental clarity, or practicing a craft with precision and dedication, these small habits create a cumulative effect that leads to greatness. In essence, genius habits are about deliberate practice. The psychologist Anders Ericsson, who coined the term deliberate practice, argued that what truly distinguishes geniuses is the way they practice, not just the fact that they do it more often. They focus on stretching their abilities, taking on challenges, and pushing beyond their comfort zones. It's this deliberate effort to grow, rather than a natural inclination, that sets them apart. This is reflected in the growth mindset described by Carol Dweck, who emphasized that becoming is better than being. The fixed mindset doesn't allow people the luxury of becoming; they have to already be. Moreover, genius habits are deeply tied to self-discipline and resilience. Self-discipline is the cornerstone of genius habits, because it ensures that you remain committed to your goals even when the initial motivation fades. As Seneca, the Roman philosopher, once said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." This encapsulates the need for perseverance and discipline, especially in the face of challenges. Genius habits also foster mental resilience, enabling individuals to bounce back from setbacks and continue moving forward. This resilience is built not only through big challenges, but through the daily practice of overcoming small hurdles. Geniuses, in this sense, don't avoid failure. They embrace it as a learning opportunity. Thomas Edison, the inventor who held over 1,000 patents, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This level of perseverance and learning from failure is key to genius habits. Ultimately, genius habits are not about perfection, they're about progress. They encourage us to focus on small, manageable improvements every day. By consistently engaging in behaviors that push us towards growth, we inch closer to our full potential. It's not about being born with exceptional talents. It's about cultivating them through persistence and daily effort. In conclusion, understanding genius habits means recognizing that greatness is a process, not a destination. It's built on the back of consistency, self-discipline, deliberate practice, and a mindset oriented toward continuous growth. As you begin to develop and refine your own genius habits, remember that success is less about dramatic changes and more about the accumulation of small, intentional actions over time. 2. The science behind genius habits. When we talk about genius habits, it's easy to think of them as abstract principles or ideals passed down by philosophers and thinkers. However, modern science has provided us with concrete evidence supporting the power of habits and their profound impact on personal growth and achievement. The science behind genius habits shows us that these routines are not just about willpower or discipline. They are about how the brain works, how habits are formed, and how they can lead to mastery. At the heart of this understanding is the science of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to experience and practice. For a long time, scientists believed that the brain was fixed and unchangeable after a certain age, but now we know that it continues to grow and adapt throughout our lives. This is why habits are so powerful. Every time you repeat an action, whether it's practicing a skill, learning something new, or even exercising self-control, you're literally reshaping your brain. This is how habits lead to genius-level mastery over time. James Clear, in his best-selling book Atomic Habits, emphasizes this scientific principle. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. This means that every time you engage in a genius habit, you're casting a vote for the person you want to be. Your brain starts to recognize these patterns as important, and over time, they become automatic behaviors. This is because habits shift from being conscious decisions to automatic actions governed by the basal ganglia, the part of the brain responsible for habit formation. Let's break this down a bit further. The formation of habits follows what scientists call the habit loop, a cycle that involves a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the habit, for example, seeing your running shoes by the door. The routine is the action, going for a run, and the reward is the benefit you get from completing the habit, the feeling of accomplishment, or the physical benefits of exercise. This loop is what allows habits to stick. By understanding this, you can begin to engineer your environment to support your genius habits, placing cues in strategic places, establishing routines that align with your goals, and rewarding yourself to reinforce the behavior. In a study conducted by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, researchers discovered that once a habit is formed, the brain essentially stops participating in the decision-making process. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and reasoning, becomes less active, allowing the basal ganglia to take over. This is why habits feel automatic after a while. They require less cognitive effort. When genius habits are ingrained in this way, you're no longer expending mental energy to motivate yourself to practice or perform. You simply do it. One of the most fascinating aspects of the science behind genius habits is the concept of deliberate practice. Anders Ericsson, a psychologist known for his research on expertise, argued that what separates geniuses from average performers is not just the quantity of practice, but the quality of it. Deliberate practice involves focusing on improvement and challenging oneself, rather than mindlessly repeating tasks. Ericsson's research found that deliberate practice activates the myelin sheath in the brain, which insulates neural pathways and makes them more efficient. This process, known as myelination, is what leads to mastery over time. When you engage in genius habits, especially those that involve deliberate practice, you're continually strengthening the neural pathways associated with that skill. This is why musicians, athletes, and artists who engage in deliberate practice improve at such rapid rates. It's not just about repeating a skill, it's about pushing the boundaries of what you're capable of, stretching your brain's abilities each time. Another key component of the science behind genius habits is the role of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. When you successfully complete a habit or reach a milestone, your brain releases dopamine, which reinforces the behavior and makes you want to do it again. This is why rewards are such an important part of the habit loop. Genius habits are often fueled by small, consistent rewards that keep you motivated to continue practicing. Let's take an example. Imagine you're trying to build the habit of writing every day because you want to become a better writer. The act of sitting down to write might not always be exciting, but by rewarding yourself, perhaps with a short break, a cup of coffee, or simply the satisfaction of having completed your writing session, you're triggering the brain's reward system. Over time, your brain associates writing with a positive outcome, making the habit more ingrained and easier to maintain. Moreover, research shows that the more frequently you engage in a habit, the stronger the neural connections associated with that habit become. This is why consistency is so critical. Every time you repeat a genius habit, you're reinforcing those neural pathways, making the habit easier and more automatic. Charles Duhigg, author of The Power of Habit, emphasizes this point. The key to creating a habit is repetition. With enough repetition, genius habits become part of who you are, requiring less effort and providing greater returns over time. In addition to the neurological aspects, behavioral psychology also plays a role in understanding the science behind genius habits. Psychologist B.F. Skinner's theory of operant conditioning suggests that behaviors that are rewarded tend to be repeated, while behaviors that are punished or ignored tend to diminish. This is why it's essential to reward your progress and celebrate small wins as you develop genius habits. By doing so, you're reinforcing the behavior, making it more likely to stick. Finally, the science behind genius habits highlights the importance of environmental cues in shaping behavior. Studies show that our environment has a significant impact on our habits. For example, if you're trying to build the habit of exercising, having your gym clothes readily available, or setting up a designated space for workouts can make a big difference. The environment either supports or hinders habit formation, so it's crucial to design your surroundings in a way that makes your genius habits easier to perform. In conclusion, the science behind genius habits reveals that these routines are not just about willpower or motivation. They're about how our brains work. Through neuroplasticity, myelination, and the habit loop, we can rewire our brains to develop habits that lead to mastery and success. By understanding and applying the scientific principles behind habit formation, you can create genius habits that become second nature and pave the way for long-term growth and achievement. 3. Building a foundation for genius habits. Creating genius habits that unlock your full potential requires a strong foundation. While it's tempting to jump right into new routines and practices, without the proper groundwork, these habits may fizzle out before they become truly ingrained. Building a solid foundation is about setting yourself up for success by creating an environment, mindset, and structure that supports sustained growth and improvement. One of the first steps in building this foundation is to have a clear sense of purpose. Why are you trying to develop these habits in the first place? What is the ultimate goal you're aiming for? The Stoics believed in living life with purpose, aligning your actions with your values and long-term objectives. Seneca, the great Roman philosopher, once wrote, "If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." This quote serves as a reminder that without a clear direction, even the best habits will feel aimless. Understanding your why gives you the motivation to stick with your habits, even when the initial excitement fades. To build genius habits, start by defining your long-term goals. Whether it's mastering a skill, improving your health, or advancing in your career, your habits should align with these larger objectives. Take time to reflect on what you truly want to achieve. This clarity will serve as the foundation upon which your habits are built. Once your purpose is defined, the next step is to start small. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to form new habits is biting off more than they can chew. The science of habit formation, as discussed earlier, shows that habits are more likely to stick when they are simple, achievable, and easy to implement at first. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, calls this the 2-minute rule, which suggests that any habit should initially take no more than 2 minutes to complete. This may seem counterintuitive when thinking about genius habits, but starting small ensures that you build consistency before adding complexity. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen." This wisdom applies perfectly to habit formation. Greatness, whether in personal development or the pursuit of genius, is not achieved in a single leap. It's a gradual process that unfolds over time. By starting with small, manageable steps, you lay the groundwork for more ambitious habits to take root. For example, if your goal is to develop the habit of reading more to expand your knowledge, start by committing to reading just a page or two each day. Over time, as the habit becomes ingrained, you can gradually increase the amount you read. The key is to build momentum, allowing the habit to grow organically without overwhelming yourself at the beginning. Another crucial aspect of building a foundation for genius habits is tracking your progress. The Stoics emphasize the importance of self-reflection and keeping track of one's actions to ensure they aligned with their values and goals. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on his daily actions, asking himself whether he had lived in accordance with his Stoic principles. This practice of self-reflection is essential for monitoring your habits and identifying areas for improvement. Tracking your habits can be as simple as using a habit tracker, journal, or even an app to record your progress. The act of writing down or logging your habits serves as a visual reminder of your commitment and helps you stay accountable. Moreover, tracking allows you to spot patterns, whether you're consistently following through or missing certain days, so you can adjust your approach as needed. As the old saying goes, what gets measured gets managed. By tracking your genius habits, you ensure that they don't fall by the wayside. Another pillar in building the foundation for genius habits is environmental design. Your environment plays a massive role in shaping your behaviors, often more than you realize. The Stoics recognized the influence of the environment on one's character and choices. Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for men learn while they teach. This speaks not only to the people you surround yourself with, but also to the broader environment you live and work in. When it comes to genius habits, your environment should be set up to support your goals, not hinder them. If you're trying to build the habit of practicing an instrument daily, make sure your instrument is easily accessible. If you're working on writing more consistently, create a dedicated space free from distractions. By designing your environment to make your habits easier to perform, you reduce the friction that can prevent you from following through. Take another example. If your goal is to improve your physical health by exercising more, you could set up your workout clothes the night before, so they're the first thing you see in the morning. Or you could create a playlist of motivating music to listen to while exercising. These small adjustments to your environment can make a big difference in how consistently you perform your genius habits. The final piece of the foundation is mindset. Developing genius habits requires a growth mindset, as described by psychologist Carol Dweck. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities and intelligence can be developed through hard work, learning, and perseverance. This is the opposite of a fixed mindset, where one believes their abilities are innate and unchangeable. Genius habits thrive in an environment where mistakes are seen as opportunities for growth and where effort is valued as much as results. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." This quote highlights the resilience that comes from having a purpose and a growth mindset. When you adopt this mindset, challenges and setbacks become part of the journey rather than insurmountable obstacles. Genius habits require consistency and patience, and a growth mindset helps you stay the course even when progress feels slow. In conclusion, building a foundation for genius habits is about setting clear goals, starting small, tracking your progress, designing a supportive environment, and adopting a growth mindset. By focusing on these foundational elements, you create the conditions necessary for your genius habits to flourish and ultimately lead to long-term success. 4. Cultivating genius habits in daily life. Developing genius habits is not just about understanding the principles behind them. It's about integrating them into your daily routine in a way that feels natural and sustainable. The key to cultivating genius habits is finding ways to make them a regular part of your life, turning intentional actions into automatic behaviors that propel you toward your long-term goals. One of the most important aspects of cultivating genius habits is consistency. As Aristotle famously said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This quote underscores the importance of repetition in habit formation. To cultivate genius habits, you need to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. This daily commitment is what separates those who achieve greatness from those who merely aspire to it. The Stoics understood the power of daily practice. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of consistent effort, reminding himself to approach each day with intention. He wrote, "Do every act of your life as though it were the last." This mindset encourages us to treat each day as an opportunity to make meaningful progress toward our goals. By focusing on what we can do today, rather than worrying about the distant future, we make our genius habits more manageable and easier to maintain. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you want to cultivate the habit of learning a new skill, such as playing a musical instrument or learning a new language. The thought of mastering the skill can be overwhelming, but the key is to break it down into daily, actionable steps. Instead of aiming to become fluent in a language or a master musician in a short time, commit to practicing for 20 or 30 minutes a day. Over time, this small but consistent effort will compound, leading to significant improvements. Another way to integrate genius habits into your daily life is through the concept of habit stacking. This technique, popularized by James Clear in Atomic Habits, involves linking a new habit to an existing one. For example, if you want to build the habit of journaling every morning, you could stack it onto your morning routine. After brushing your teeth, sit down to write a few thoughts in your journal. By associating the new habit with something you already do regularly, you're more likely to stick with it. Habit stacking is a powerful way to integrate genius habits seamlessly into your day without feeling overwhelmed. In addition to consistency and habit stacking, another essential element of cultivating genius habits is prioritizing them in your daily schedule. Genius habits should not be left to chance. They need to be treated as non-negotiable parts of your day. The Stoics were masters of discipline, and they understood that important tasks must be prioritized, not postponed. Seneca advised, "If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person." This quote reminds us that change comes from within. It's about making conscious choices to prioritize what truly matters. Let's say your genius habit is to meditate every day, to cultivate mental clarity and reduce stress. If you leave your meditation practice until the end of the day, when you're already exhausted or distracted, it's easy to skip it. Instead, make meditation a priority by scheduling it during a time when you're more likely to follow through. Perhaps first thing in the morning or during your lunch break. By creating a set time for your genius habits, you reduce the likelihood of procrastination and ensure they become an integral part of your routine. Another practical way to cultivate genius habits is by embracing the concept of micro-habits. Micro-habits are incredibly small, simple actions that you can do every day, regardless of how busy or unmotivated you feel. These tiny habits are easy to maintain and, over time, build momentum. For example, if your goal is to write a book, Commit to writing just 1 sentence a day. While this may seem insignificant, the act of showing up every day to write, even just a little, reinforces the habit. Over time, you'll likely find that 1 sentence turns into a paragraph, and eventually, a page or more. The key is to make the habit so small that it's impossible to fail. The Stoics were proponents of small, consistent actions leading to big changes. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." This idea of slow, steady progress is central to cultivating genius habits. Instead of expecting immediate results, focus on making incremental improvements each day. By keeping your habits small and achievable, you avoid the trap of burnout and ensure long-term success. A major challenge many people face when trying to cultivate genius habits is staying motivated over time. The truth is, motivation ebbs and flows, and relying on it can be risky. This is where discipline becomes essential. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. As Jim Rohn, the renowned entrepreneur and motivational speaker, said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment." By cultivating discipline, you ensure that you stick to your habits, even on the days when motivation is lacking. The Stoics believed in the power of discipline and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a reminder that while external circumstances may be unpredictable, you always have control over your actions and choices. Discipline is about taking control of your behavior, regardless of how you feel in the moment. One strategy for staying disciplined is to create accountability. Share your goals and habits with someone you trust, whether it's a friend, family member, or mentor. Having someone to check in with can help keep you accountable and motivated to stick to your genius habits. Accountability can also come in the form of joining a community or group of like-minded individuals who are working towards similar goals. The collective energy and support of a community can be incredibly powerful in helping you stay consistent. Finally, celebrating your progress is an important part of cultivating genius habits in daily life. While the focus is often on long-term goals, it's essential to acknowledge and appreciate the small wins along the way. Each time you complete your habit, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come and how the habit is shaping your life for the better. This not only reinforces the habit, but also boosts your confidence and motivation. In conclusion, cultivating genius habits in daily life requires consistency, discipline, and small, manageable steps. By integrating these habits into your routine through techniques like habit stacking, micro-habits, and prioritization, you create a lifestyle that supports continuous growth and progress. Remember, the key to genius is not perfection. It's showing up every day, even in small ways, to move closer to your goals. 5. Overcoming challenges and staying consistent. As we all know, building genius habits is one thing, but maintaining them over the long term is another challenge altogether. Whether it's the demands of daily life, unexpected obstacles, or simply the fading of initial enthusiasm, staying consistent with genius habits often proves to be difficult. However, the Stoics and other great thinkers have provided us with tools and strategies to overcome these challenges and maintain consistency, even when the going gets tough. One of the first principles to keep in mind when facing challenges is to adopt a mindset of resilience. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly reminds us that challenges are inevitable, and what matters is how we respond to them. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is a powerful Stoic concept. Every obstacle you face can be transformed into an opportunity for growth. Instead of viewing challenges as roadblocks, see them as chances to develop your resilience and refine your genius habits. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you've been consistently working out, but then you injure yourself or face an overwhelming work schedule. The challenge here is that you can no longer follow your original workout routine, but instead of giving up, a resilient mindset would encourage you to adapt your habits to the situation. Maybe you can switch to lighter exercises, focus on rehabilitation, or even work on your mental fitness through meditation. The key is to stay committed to the essence of the habit, even if the form of the practice needs to change temporarily. Another crucial aspect of overcoming challenges is recognizing the role of willpower and how to manage it. Studies have shown that willpower is a limited resource, which means relying solely on it to maintain your habits can be unsustainable over time. This is where the Stoic principle of preparation comes into play. Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." By preparing for inevitable challenges in advance, you reduce the reliance on willpower alone. One practical way to prepare for challenges is through implementation intentions. This technique involves planning in advance how you will respond when a challenge arises. For example, if you're trying to build the habit of reading every day, but you know that some days will be busier than others, you might create an implementation intention that looks like this. If I can't read for 30 minutes, then I'll read for 10 minutes. By having a backup plan in place, you're less likely to skip the habit entirely when life gets in the way. In addition to preparing for challenges, it's important to cultivate self-compassion. One of the biggest reasons people fall off the wagon with their habits is that they're too hard on themselves when they slip up. The Stoics were advocates of self-reflection, but they also believed in the importance of forgiving oneself and moving forward. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." This quote reminds us that setbacks are not the end of the road. They are opportunities to start anew. When you miss a day or fail to stick to your habit, it's essential to avoid the trap of perfectionism. Instead of punishing yourself or feeling defeated, practice self-compassion by acknowledging the setback and then refocusing on the next day. As the Japanese proverb says, "Fall 7 times, stand up 8." The ability to get back on track quickly after a slip-up is what ultimately ensures long-term consistency. Another challenge people often face is boredom. Genius habits, by their nature, require repetition and consistency, and over time, it's easy to feel bored or unmotivated. However, boredom is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a natural part of the process. The key to overcoming boredom is to reframe your mindset. As Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you reconnect with the deeper purpose behind your habits, it becomes easier to push through the monotony. Remind yourself why you started the habit in the first place and how it aligns with your long-term goals. Let's take another example. Imagine you've been practicing a musical instrument every day, and while you've made significant progress, the daily practice is starting to feel repetitive and uninspiring. Instead of quitting, find ways to inject variety into your routine. You might try learning a new song, experimenting with a different technique, or even changing the time of day you practice. By keeping the habit fresh and exciting, you'll be more likely to stick with it over the long term. Another key strategy for staying consistent is to focus on identity-based habits rather than outcome-based habits. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, explains that when we focus on becoming the kind of person who practices a habit, rather than just achieving a specific result, we're more likely to stay consistent. For example, instead of setting a goal to lose 10 pounds, focus on becoming someone who makes healthy choices every day. This shift in mindset creates a sense of ownership over the habit. It becomes part of who you are, rather than just something you're trying to achieve. The Stoics also emphasized the importance of controlling your inner dialogue. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that the way you talk to yourself about your habits and challenges has a significant impact on your ability to stay consistent. If you're constantly telling yourself that a habit is too hard or that you're not capable of following through, you're setting yourself up for failure. Instead, practice positive self-talk, reminding yourself that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. This shift in mindset can make a huge difference in how you approach challenges and maintain consistency. Accountability is another powerful tool for overcoming challenges. When you have someone who is holding you accountable for your habits, whether it's a friend, coach, or mentor, you're more likely to stick to them. In ancient times, the Stoics often engaged in philosophical dialogues with one another, challenging each other's beliefs and holding one another accountable for their actions. Today, you can create accountability by sharing your goals with someone you trust, or by joining a group of like-minded individuals who are working towards similar objectives. Knowing that someone else is counting on you can provide the extra motivation needed to stay consistent, even when it's difficult. Finally, one of the most important aspects of overcoming challenges and staying consistent is to celebrate small wins. The Stoics believed in the importance of gratitude and acknowledging progress, no matter how incremental. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to appreciate the small victories in life and not take them for granted. By celebrating your achievements along the way, you reinforce the positive behavior and keep your motivation high. For example, if you're trying to develop the habit of writing every day, celebrate the fact that you wrote for 10 minutes, even if you didn't hit your original target of 30 minutes. By acknowledging the progress you've made, you're more likely to stay motivated and continue building momentum. In conclusion, overcoming challenges and staying consistent with genius habits requires resilience, preparation, self-compassion, and a focus on identity-based habits. By embracing these strategies, you'll be better equipped to navigate the obstacles that inevitably arise and maintain the habits that will lead to long-term success. Remember, the journey to greatness is not a straight line. It's filled with twists, turns, and setbacks. But with the right mindset and tools, you can overcome any challenge and continue moving forward on the path to mastery. 6. Harnessing the power of genius habits. Once you've established genius habits in your life and successfully integrated them into your daily routine, the next step is to fully harness their power. Genius habits are transformative because they allow you to unlock untapped potential and make consistent progress toward your goals. The cumulative effect of these habits is what propels you forward, often in ways you never expected. The beauty of genius habits lies in their compound effect. Small actions, performed consistently over time, lead to significant results. As James Clear explains in Atomic Habits, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Just as compound interest grows exponentially with time, genius habits build momentum and produce exponential returns. by staying consistent, you're laying the foundation for remarkable growth, even if the results aren't immediately visible. One of the key principles behind harnessing the power of genius habits is understanding the concept of marginal gains. This idea, popularized by British cycling coach Dave Brailsford, involves making tiny, incremental improvements in every area of performance. Brailsford famously applied this concept to the British cycling team, focusing on 1% improvements in areas like sleep, nutrition, and even bike ergonomics. The result? The team went on to dominate international cycling, winning multiple Tour de France titles and Olympic medals. When it comes to genius habits, the same principle applies. Rather than focusing on dramatic transformations, focus on making small improvements every day. These small gains add up over time, leading to significant progress. For example, if you're working on becoming a better public speaker, aim to improve just one aspect of your presentation skills each time you practice. Over time, these small improvements will compound, and you'll find that your overall ability has increased dramatically. Harnessing the power of genius habits also requires focus and clarity. The Stoics believed in the importance of focusing on what is within your control and letting go of distractions that do not serve your purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a reminder that by concentrating your efforts on the habits and actions that align with your goals, you can achieve far more than if you scatter your attention across multiple pursuits. Let's take a practical example. Imagine you have several competing goals, such as advancing in your career, improving your fitness, and learning a new skill. While it's admirable to want to achieve multiple things at once, spreading yourself too thin can dilute the power of your genius habits. Instead, focus on the one or two habits that will have the most significant impact on your life. By concentrating your energy on these core habits, you'll be able to make faster progress and experience the full power of compounding improvements. Another way to harness the power of genius habits is through the practice of deliberate practice. As we discussed earlier, deliberate practice involves pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and focusing on areas where you need improvement. This type of practice is what separates average performers from geniuses. When you deliberately practice your habits, you're not just going through the motions, you're actively working to get better. Consider the example of professional athletes, musicians, or chess players. These individuals don't just rely on natural talent to succeed. They engage in hours of deliberate practice, refining their skills and challenging themselves to improve. The same principle applies to your genius habits. Whether you're working on your writing, public speaking, or personal development, deliberate practice ensures that you're continuously growing and evolving. Harnessing the power of genius habits also involves cultivating patience. The results of your habits may not be immediately apparent, and it's easy to become discouraged when progress seems slow. However, the Stoics understood that patience is a key virtue in achieving success. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time." This wisdom teaches us that greatness takes time, and the power of genius habits is realized through steady, patient progress. Let's say you're working on building the habit of mindfulness meditation to reduce stress and improve focus. In the beginning, you might not notice any immediate changes, but over weeks and months of consistent practice, you'll start to experience the benefits. greater emotional regulation, improved concentration, and reduced anxiety. The key is to trust the process and remain patient, knowing that the power of genius habits unfolds gradually. In addition to patience, it's important to recognize that momentum plays a significant role in harnessing the power of habits. Once a habit is established, it requires less effort to maintain, and it becomes easier to build on that foundation. Newton's first law of motion states that an object in motion stays in motion. This same principle applies to habits. Once you've established momentum with your genius habits, it becomes easier to keep going and to add new habits to your routine. One way to capitalize on this momentum is to practice habit stacking, linking new habits to existing ones. For example, if you've already established the habit of exercising every morning, you might stack a new habit of reading or journaling immediately after your workout. By stacking habits together, you create a chain of positive actions that reinforce one another, making it easier to stay consistent. Harnessing the power of genius habits also involves developing mental resilience. As you continue to practice your habits, you'll inevitably face setbacks, challenges, and moments of self-doubt. The Stoics believed that adversity is an essential part of growth. Seneca famously said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." This Stoic wisdom reminds us that setbacks are not signs of failure, but opportunities to build resilience and continue moving forward. For example, let's say you've been working on the habit of waking up early to maximize your productivity. One morning, you oversleep, and it feels like you've ruined your streak. Instead of letting this setback derail your progress, use it as an opportunity to practice resilience. Accept the mistake, reflect on what caused it, and make adjustments to prevent it from happening again. By bouncing back from setbacks quickly, you maintain the momentum of your genius habits and continue making progress. Finally, one of the most powerful ways to harness the full potential of genius habits is through reflection and adaptation. The Stoics believed in the importance of regular self-reflection, and this practice is essential for evaluating the effectiveness of your habits. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that by reflecting on your actions and habits, you gain clarity on whether they are serving your long-term goals. Set aside time each week or month to review your progress. Ask yourself, are these habits still aligned with my goals? Are there areas where I can improve? Are there any new habits I need to introduce? This process of reflection ensures that your genius habits continue to evolve and adapt as you grow. In conclusion, harnessing the power of genius habits involves leveraging the compound effect, practicing deliberate improvement, cultivating patience, and maintaining momentum. By focusing on small, consistent actions and trusting the process, you'll unlock the full potential of your genius habits and experience profound personal growth. The next time you feel discouraged or overwhelmed, remember the Stoic wisdom. Greatness is not achieved overnight. It's the result of consistent, patient effort, day by day. 7. Sustaining your genius habits for long-term success. Once you've established your genius habits and started to harness their power, the real challenge becomes sustaining them over the long term. The ultimate goal of genius habits is not short-term gains, but long-term success and personal growth. To achieve this, you need strategies that will help you maintain these habits consistently, even as life changes and new challenges arise. The Stoics, who emphasized discipline and perseverance, understood that sustaining good habits requires continuous effort and reflection. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Perfection of character is this, to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense." This Stoic mindset reminds us that we must approach each day with intention, focusing on the habits and behaviors that align with our values and goals. The same principles apply to genius habits. Sustaining them means treating each day as an opportunity to recommit to your practices and your purpose. One of the most important elements of sustaining genius habits is adaptability. Life is full of changes, new responsibilities, shifting priorities, and unexpected obstacles. If you want your habits to last for the long term, they need to be flexible enough to adapt to these changes. The Stoics believed in focusing on what is within our control and adapting to what is not. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea of adaptation is essential for maintaining your genius habits over time. For example, imagine you've been following a consistent morning workout routine, but suddenly your work schedule changes, making it difficult to exercise at the same time. Instead of abandoning the habit altogether, the key is to adapt, perhaps shifting your workout to a different time of day or adjusting the length of your sessions. By being flexible and finding ways to incorporate your habits into new circumstances, you ensure that they remain a part of your life, regardless of external changes. Another crucial aspect of sustaining genius habits is building a support system. While discipline and self-motivation are important, having a community or accountability partner can significantly increase your chances of maintaining long-term habits. The Stoics valued community and the support of others on the path to personal growth. Seneca wrote, "One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood." This speaks to the importance of surrounding yourself with people who support your journey and hold you accountable to your commitments. Let's say your genius habit involves learning a new skill, such as playing an instrument or improving your public speaking. By joining a group, taking a class, or working with a mentor, you not only improve your skills, but also gain the support and encouragement needed to stay consistent. The external accountability of having someone check in on your progress can provide the extra motivation needed to sustain your habits over the long term. Sustaining genius habits also requires a strong sense of purpose. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living a life aligned with one's core values. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature." This idea reinforces the importance of reflecting on why you started your genius habits in the first place. When your habits are aligned with your core values and long-term goals, it becomes easier to stay committed, even when motivation wanes. Take, for example, the habit of journaling for self-reflection. If your purpose in journaling is to cultivate greater self-awareness and personal growth, this deeper purpose will help sustain the habit over the long term. On days when you feel too busy or too tired to write, reconnecting with the underlying reason for the habit, improving your life and becoming the best version of yourself will keep you committed. Another important factor in sustaining genius habits is celebrating small wins. Long-term success is not achieved through giant leaps, but through steady, consistent progress. The Stoics believed in acknowledging small victories and the importance of gratitude. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." This quote highlights the importance of self-mastery and the small incremental steps we take each day to build better habits. By taking time to celebrate your progress, no matter how small, you reinforce the positive behavior and keep yourself motivated. For instance, if your habit is to read for 30 minutes each day, acknowledge and celebrate the fact that you've completed your reading session, even if you didn't finish an entire chapter. These small celebrations serve as positive reinforcement, making it more likely that you'll continue the habit over the long term. One of the biggest challenges in sustaining habits for the long term is avoiding burnout. The Stoics recognized the importance of balance and moderation in all things. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Your fate is hanging over you. While you're alive, while you still have time, be good." This quote reminds us that life is finite, and while it's important to work toward our goals, we must also ensure that we are pacing ourselves and maintaining a healthy balance. If you're trying to sustain a habit like exercise or writing, it's important to avoid pushing yourself too hard or becoming overly rigid. When the pressure to maintain perfection becomes overwhelming, burnout is likely to follow. Instead, embrace a more sustainable approach, where rest, recovery, and enjoyment are part of the process. This balance is crucial for maintaining habits that will last a lifetime. Another key strategy for long-term habit maintenance is periodic reflection and adjustment. The Stoics believed in the importance of regular self-reflection to ensure that one's actions aligned with one's values and goals. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on his own behavior and habits, asking himself whether he had lived in accordance with his principles. This kind of self-reflection is essential for sustaining genius habits over the long term. Set aside time each week or month to evaluate your progress. Ask yourself, are these habits still serving my goals? Are there any adjustments I need to make? Is there a habit that needs to be replaced or refined? By regularly reflecting on your habits and making adjustments as needed, you ensure that they remain relevant and effective as your life evolves. In conclusion, sustaining genius habits for long-term success requires adaptability, support, purpose, and reflection. By staying flexible in the face of change, surrounding yourself with a supportive community, and maintaining a clear sense of purpose, you can ensure that your habits remain a part of your life for years to come. Remember, long-term success is not about perfection, it's about progress and persistence. As you continue on your journey, keep in mind the Stoic wisdom. Greatness is not achieved by doing extraordinary things occasionally, but by doing ordinary things consistently over time. 8. Practical applications of genius habits. Genius habits are not confined to the realm of theory. They are meant to be lived, practiced, and applied in everyday situations to achieve tangible results. The beauty of genius habits is that they can be adapted and applied to almost any area of life, whether it's personal development, professional success, or relationships. By implementing these habits with intention and purpose, you can unlock new levels of potential and create lasting improvements in every aspect of your life. One of the most common areas where genius habits are applied is in personal development. Whether your goal is to improve your mental clarity, physical health, or emotional resilience, genius habits provide a roadmap for consistent growth. The Stoics were masters of personal development, with a strong focus on daily habits that promote self-discipline, reflection, and mastery of the mind. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This quote reminds us that our habits of thought and action shape who we become. Take, for example, the habit of mindfulness meditation. By dedicating just a few minutes each day to mindfulness, you can improve your focus, reduce stress, and cultivate a greater sense of inner peace. This practice, which might seem small in isolation, has a profound impact on your overall well-being when applied consistently over time. The power of mindfulness lies in its ability to help you become more aware of your thoughts and emotions, allowing you to respond to life's challenges with calm and clarity. Another practical application of genius habits is in physical health. The habits you build around your physical well-being, whether it's exercising regularly, eating a balanced diet, or getting enough sleep, directly influence your energy levels, mood, and productivity. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, emphasizes the importance of small, consistent actions when it comes to physical health. It's not about doing a lot today, it's about doing a little bit each day. Genius habits in this area are about creating sustainable, long-term routines that lead to gradual improvements in your fitness and overall health. For instance, you might start with a simple exercise routine, such as going for a 20-minute walk each day or doing a few minutes of stretching in the morning. Over time, as these habits become ingrained, you can gradually increase the intensity or duration of your workouts. The key is to focus on consistency rather than intensity in the beginning. By making physical health a daily priority, you'll notice improvements not only in your body, but also in your mental clarity and emotional resilience. Genius habits are also highly effective in the realm of professional success. Whether you're aiming to advance in your career, start a new business, or improve your skills in a particular area, genius habits can provide the structure and discipline needed to achieve your goals. The Stoics emphasized the importance of focusing on what is within your control and letting go of distractions that do not serve your higher purpose. This mindset is essential for success in the professional world, where the ability to stay focused and productive can make all the difference. One practical habit for professional success is the habit of continuous learning. In today's fast-paced world, those who commit to lifelong learning are the ones who stay ahead. You can apply the genius habit of reading, studying, or practicing a skill daily to ensure that you're always growing and improving in your field. Set aside time each day to read books, take online courses, or practice new skills relevant to your career. Over time, these small daily actions will accumulate, making you more knowledgeable and competent in your profession. For example, if you're a writer, you might commit to writing for 30 minutes every morning. If you're in business, you could dedicate time each day to reading industry news or studying successful business strategies. The key is to make learning and improvement a daily practice, not something that happens sporadically. By integrating these habits into your routine, you ensure that you're continuously moving forward in your professional journey. Genius habits also have powerful applications in relationships. The Stoics taught that relationships are central to a well-lived life, and building strong, meaningful connections requires consistent effort and intentionality. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This advice highlights the importance of surrounding yourself with positive influences and nurturing relationships that contribute to your growth. One practical genius habit for improving relationships is the habit of active listening. Too often, conversations are filled with distractions, with each person thinking about what they'll say next rather than truly listening. By making a habit of listening fully and attentively during conversations, you deepen your connections with others and show that you value their thoughts and feelings. Over time, this habit strengthens trust and communication in your relationships, whether they're personal or professional. Another relationship-oriented habit is the practice of gratitude. Regularly expressing gratitude to the people in your life, whether through a simple thank you, a note, or a thoughtful gesture, fosters a deeper sense of connection and appreciation. This habit not only strengthens your relationships, but also improves your own well-being, as research has shown that practicing gratitude is linked to increased happiness and life satisfaction. The Stoics often practiced gratitude as part of their daily reflections, recognizing that life's blessings are fleeting and should be appreciated fully in the moment. Genius habits also extend to creativity and problem-solving. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, or simply someone looking to innovate in your work, genius habits can help you tap into your creative potential. The habit of brainstorming, setting aside time each day to generate new ideas or solutions, can lead to breakthroughs in your creative projects. Similarly, the habit of journaling can help you clarify your thoughts and reflect on challenges, leading to greater insight and creative solutions. For instance, if you're working on a big creative project, you might start by committing to brainstorming new ideas for 15 minutes each morning. This practice over time will stimulate your creative thinking and lead to new perspectives and innovations. By making creativity a habit, rather than something you wait for inspiration to strike, you take control of your creative process and open yourself up to new possibilities. Lastly, genius habits are incredibly valuable in the context of emotional resilience. The Stoics were well known for their emphasis on emotional mastery and the ability to remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. Epictetus taught that we can't control external events, but we can always control how we respond to them. By developing genius habits that strengthen your emotional resilience, such as meditation, journaling, or practicing gratitude, you're better equipped to handle life's challenges with grace and clarity. For example, if you've built the habit of journaling about your emotions each evening, you're giving yourself a space to process difficult experiences and reflect on how you can grow from them. Over time, this habit strengthens your emotional resilience, allowing you to bounce back more quickly from setbacks and approach challenges with a more balanced mindset. In conclusion, genius habits have a wide range of practical applications across all areas of life, from personal development and physical health to professional success, relationships, creativity, and emotional resilience. By integrating these habits into your daily routine, you unlock your potential and create a foundation for long-term growth and achievement. The key to applying genius habits is to start small, stay consistent, and remember that progress, not perfection, is the goal. As you continue to practice these habits, you'll find that they become a natural part of who you are, guiding you toward a life of purpose, fulfillment, and success. 9. The role of environment in supporting genius habits. No matter how disciplined or motivated you are, the environment in which you live and work plays a crucial role in supporting or hindering your genius habits. The Stoics often spoke about the importance of controlling what is within your power, and when it comes to habit formation, your environment is one of the most powerful influences that you can shape to your advantage. By consciously designing your environment to support your habits, you make it easier to stay consistent and maintain your progress over the long term. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, emphasizes that environment often matters more than motivation when it comes to sustaining habits. He writes, "Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. This means that the cues and triggers present in your environment can either make it easier or harder for you to follow through on your habits. For example, if you're trying to develop the habit of reading more, but your living space is filled with distractions like television or constant noise, it becomes much harder to stick to that habit. On the other hand, if you create a quiet reading nook with easy access to books, you're far more likely to develop and maintain the habit. One of the first steps in optimizing your environment for genius habits is to eliminate distractions. The Stoics believed in minimizing the things that pull us away from what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary?" This advice is particularly useful when considering how your environment impacts your habits. Look around at your surroundings and ask yourself whether there are elements that are distracting you or preventing you from fully focusing on your habits. For example, if you're trying to build the habit of writing every morning, but your workspace is cluttered with distractions, whether it's your phone, notifications, or other unrelated tasks, it becomes easy to lose focus. By decluttering your environment and creating a dedicated, distraction-free space for writing, you make it easier to stay focused and productive. This principle applies to any habit, whether it's exercising, meditating, or working on a creative project. Eliminating distractions is key to creating an environment that supports your habits. Another critical element of environment design is placing cues for your habits in strategic locations. The Stoics believed in the power of intentionality and purpose in all aspects of life, and when it comes to habit formation, this translates into setting up your environment to naturally remind you of your habits. Charles Duhigg, in The Power of Habit, discusses the importance of habit cues, which are triggers in your environment that prompt you to perform a specific habit. By intentionally placing these cues in your environment, you're more likely to follow through on your habits without having to rely on willpower alone. For example, if your goal is to meditate every morning, you could place your meditation cushion in a visible spot near your bed. This serves as a visual reminder to meditate as soon as you wake up. Similarly, if you want to develop the habit of drinking more water throughout the day, you could keep a water bottle on your desk at all times, making it easier to remember to hydrate. The key is to design your environment so that the cues for your habits are front and center, prompting you to take action without much conscious effort. Your social environment, the people you surround yourself with, also plays a significant role in supporting your genius habits. The Stoics recognized the power of influence and community in shaping our behavior. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." This advice is particularly relevant when it comes to building habits. If you surround yourself with people who share your commitment to growth and self-improvement, you're far more likely to stay motivated and accountable in your own habits. For instance, if you're trying to cultivate the habit of exercising regularly, joining a fitness group or finding an exercise partner can greatly increase your chances of sticking with the habit. The social support and accountability that come from being part of a group create an environment that reinforces positive behavior. Similarly, if you're working on a creative project, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals, whether it's through a writers group, a mastermind, or an online community, can provide the encouragement and feedback needed to keep you moving forward. On the flip side, it's important to minimize negative influences that might hinder your progress. The Stoics were keenly aware of the impact that others could have on one's character and behavior. Marcus Aurelius advised, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." This is a reminder to rise above negative influences and focus on your own path. In the context of genius habits, this means being mindful of people or situations that might tempt you to abandon your habits or engage in behaviors that conflict with your long-term goals. For example, if you're trying to quit a bad habit like smoking or excessive screen time, it's important to avoid environments or social situations where those behaviors are encouraged. By removing yourself from environments that reinforce negative habits and placing yourself in environments that support positive change, you're far more likely to succeed in maintaining your genius habits. Another practical way to use your environment to support your habits is through visual reminders and affirmations. The Stoics often reflected on their principles through daily journaling and self-reminders. Marcus Aurelius regularly wrote about his values and goals, using his meditations as a way to keep himself accountable. You can apply a similar strategy by placing visual reminders of your goals and habits in your environment. For example, you might create a vision board, write your goals on sticky notes, or place motivational quotes where you can see them every day. These visual cues serve as constant reminders of your commitment to your genius habits and keep you focused on your long-term vision. In addition to your physical and social environment, your digital environment also plays a significant role in supporting or hindering your habits. In today's world, we're constantly surrounded by digital distractions, emails, social media, notifications that can easily pull us away from our habits. To combat this, it's important to design your digital environment to reduce distractions and support your productivity. This might involve setting time limits on apps, turning off non-essential notifications, or using tools that help you focus, such as website blockers or productivity apps. For example, if your habit is to write or work on a project for a set amount of time each day, using an app like Freedom or Cold Turkey to block distracting websites can help you stay focused. Similarly, if you're trying to reduce your screen time, setting time limits on social media apps can prevent you from mindlessly scrolling and keep you focused on more meaningful habits. The key is to be intentional about how you structure your digital environment so that it supports your goals rather than detracts from them. Finally, it's important to recognize that your mindset is part of your environment. The Stoics believed that we have control over our thoughts and attitudes, and that these inner states shape our external reality. Epictetus famously said, "We are disturbed not by events, but by the views we take of them." This idea applies to habit formation as well. Your beliefs about your habits and your ability to change play a crucial role in whether you succeed. If you believe that you're capable of change and that your habits are important, you're far more likely to follow through. In conclusion, your environment, both physical, social, and digital, has a profound impact on your ability to maintain genius habits. By consciously designing your surroundings to eliminate distractions, create positive habit cues, and provide social support, you make it easier to stay consistent and focused on your goals. Remember, the Stoic wisdom reminds us that while we may not be able to control everything in life, we can control our environment and our response to it. By shaping your environment with intention, you set yourself up for success and create the conditions necessary for your genius habits to flourish. We've covered a lot in this episode about the power of genius habits and how they can truly unlock your potential in every area of life. Whether you're working on your personal development, aiming for professional success, or trying to improve your relationships and creativity, genius habits are the key to sustainable, long-term growth. By understanding the science behind habits, building a strong foundation, and applying these habits consistently in your daily life, you can harness their transformative power. The Stoics, along with many great thinkers, remind us that small, consistent actions lead to significant results. It's not about dramatic changes overnight, but about staying the course, building habits that are adaptable, sustainable, and aligned with your goals. As you continue on your journey to unlock your potential, remember that your environment, your mindset, and your community play crucial roles in supporting your genius habits. By shaping your surroundings and staying focused on your long-term vision, you ensure that these habits become an integral part of who you are. Thank you for watching. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might benefit from it. Let's keep growing together, building a community centered on resilience, personal growth, and living life with intention.